Not to spoil the story for you again, but eventually the 13 British colonies in North America rebel against their own British government and create a new nation in the process, the United States of America. In today's world, imagine if Ohio decided to leave the United States and form its own independent country. In an effort to stop Ohio from doing that, the United States invaded and a 6-year war was fought in Ohio. Ohio eventually defeated the United States and became its own country. That's essentially what the Revolutionary War was. British colonists waged war on their own government and eventually won their independence. What led the colonists to take this dramatic step? That's the question we'll try to answer in the next few minutes. You can't understand the Revolutionary War without understanding it within the context of the French and Indian War. The French and Indian War ended with a victory for the British, but it also left them with a lot of debt. Parliament reasoned that it only made sense that the colonists pay their fair share of that debt, especially since much of the war was fought to defend the North American colonies. And so, in the years following the French and Indian War, Parliament passed a series of acts that were intended to pay off the debt from the war. These acts, however, were not well received by the colonists. Tension and protests over these taxes will eventually give way to open warfare between the colonists and their army. Why were the taxes not well received? First, let's be clear that it wasn't the cost of the taxes that made the colonists angry. In fact, British citizens living in Britain paid much more in taxes than their colonial brothers across the Atlantic. No, it wasn't the cost of the taxes that got the colonists angry. Rather, it was the control that Parliament was trying to exercise over them. You see, the colonies had a long tradition of self-government. In other words, Parliament was content to allow the colonial governments to run the show in the colonies for generations. The sudden reversal of that policy after the French and Indian War left many colonists angry and arguing for the way things used to be. This anger can be seen in a slogan that was popular before the Revolution began. The slogan, "No taxation without representation," is also known as the constitutional argument. It summarizes the idea that colonists' rights were being violated when they were being taxed by Parliament because they had no representation in Parliament. The colonists argued that, according to English law, their property, in this instance their cold hard cash, could not be taken from them without their permission. Their permission was given through their representative in Parliament. Since the colonists had no representatives in Parliament, the colonists believed that Parliament was violating their rights when they passed these various tax laws. In short, the colonists believed that Parliament was stealing their money or their property. Their solution was to have the colonial legislatures tax them instead. But Parliament refused and argued back that they were Parliament and they could tax whoever they wanted to. So, to sum it up, the Revolutionary War was caused in no small way by the debt that was accumulated as a result of the French and Indian War. When Parliament taxed the colonists in an effort to pay off this debt, the colonists felt that their rights were being violated. When Parliament refused to compromise, the colonists rebelled. This rebellion eventually gave way to the Declaration of Independence and the birth of the United States of America. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.